Okay, hopefully it's working this time. We are waiting for Valerie to join us. Give us just a moment. There we go.
There we go.
Good
This
morning.
is never easy. Good morning.
So
Okay.
let me start at the top.
Okay.
So I'm Kevin, and I'm here today. I'm going to be doing our first ever Reanimated Writers Undead head-to-head interview with author Valerie Lioudis, who has successfully joined us. So good morning, Val.
Good morning.
And so the point of what we're wanting to do here is we've been talking about doing this for a long time. It's just an opportunity for us to get to know another author, learn about their books, their stories, what makes them tick as an author. And in this particular case, because we're both the co-chairs of the Reanimated Writers, we're also going to talk a little bit about that group, what we do there, what goes on, and what you might find if you come and join us. So first of all, Valerie is the author of a number of different books. She's had a ton of new releases in the last few months. But she's the co-author of Aftershock, a collection of survivors' tales that she co-authored with her husband, Christopher. So, oh, and there it is. Let's talk about that book first real quick. Most of all, I'm curious, what was it like co-authoring a book with your husband?
It was really fun. Chris and I get along really well, so it became one of those things that when we were sitting in the car, we would be talking about what direction we wanted to take with it. And it's been nice because we're working on book 2 right now, which has been a long time coming. And it should be released this month. It's not going to be released this month. I kind of overloaded my plate and work overloaded his plate. So, by the end of November. But I think at this point it's been 3 years, I think, since the first book came out. I think people can wait the extra month so that it's not a rush job to get to the end. But it's fun. It's fun to be able to talk about it again because, when we get in the car and we've got a herd of children in the back seat, at least we can talk about something grown up as opposed to something preschool. So it's kind of cool. I like it though. I like that he has such a different wealth of knowledge than I do. He's got the medical side of it, and he does more about the tactical sides of things, and I do more about how people behave. So it's nice to mix it, because I don't think either one of us would have been able to write a book as well, because we don't have the skill set to do what we did combined. So it's been pretty neat. So hopefully that will be done by November and released, and I'll get to announce it, and then I'll have a huge weight off of my shoulders. So
So that sounds pretty interesting. So you kind of both bring different pieces of the puzzle together, bring them together, and then make a cohesive, really in-depth story.
absolutely. So
Right on. So book 2 will be done soon. Is there going to be a book 3, book 4? How many books do you foresee in that series?
I'm hoping on wrapping up the characters that are in the first book with the second book. Not all of them, but the idea is to get that storyline done and then take some of them and do novellas of either before or how they are after, because it's zombie apocalypse, so not everybody's going to make it, so some of them are just going to be done. And then eventually take all of that and do a boxed set later. But I'd like to do some that I just release as free stories within my newsletter, and some that are real cheap little novellas stuck up there. But the Aftershock world, for me, because it was written so long ago, it's been really hard for me to dive back in hardcore, because I have a short attention span and I am all over the map, and people are going to see that as we talk about the rest of the things that I've been doing, is that I dive in really hardcore into one thing, and if I don't continue it, I start to kind of flitter away from it. So I think it would be better if we wrapped up these guys in the second book, and then I could get excited about writing new characters into novella form, because then it's new again, and it's exciting as a writer to get back into writing what's happening there. So, and we might even open it up to a couple of people to write within the world with the set rules, and maybe do an anthology with that, or set it up so that they can do their own novellas, and they would be in the Aftershock world, because there's a certain set of rules that they follow. We've got an immunity in there that actually should be explained by the end of book 2, which will help if people want to jump in and write their own stuff. So
Okay, that sounds kind of exciting. Building a world for
yeah.
others to play in.
Yeah.
So, so speaking of other worlds, almost like we planned that little segue. So next up, I want to talk about one of your more recent releases, which is also a release that I'm in, as are many of the other authors in the Reanimated Writers, which is the Undead Worlds anthology. And that book was born from your idea. You put it out there that, hey, group, let's make this anthology. Let's share all of our resources. Let's put together a book, and it's turned out amazing. I love looking at this cover. It's one of my favorite books in my book collection. And
Oh, me too.
yeah. So tell me a little bit about your story in Undead Worlds.
Well, I did a story about a character that's not in Aftershock Book 1, and she's not in Aftershock Book 2. So this would be an example of the novellas that I would be doing later. It's a character called Avery, and she is a hoarder. She became a hoarder after zombies started because she felt so out of control that her brain kind of snapped in a way, and she started just picking up random treasures. And it's interesting to watch if she's willing to die for something that's useless, because in her head it becomes a fixation, and it's the level of control that she can have in the chaotic world is, I need that thing, and I need it now. And then she's willing to go out and deal with monsters essentially attacking her to go grab like a cookie jar. So I thought that was an interesting take on it, but it's within the same realm, and I may come back to her later because I really enjoyed writing about her. That's what I meant about having it be new again, is that it gets exciting to be able to write something that's different. It's not the same characters that I was writing before, and that I've kind of gotten stuck with a writer's block on. So for me, I know doing Undead Worlds was great because it energized me within my own universe. And I had heard that from a couple of the other authors too, that it got them to pick up their stuff again and be excited about it, because they could either write backstories that didn't make sense to write into a different novel, but they could explore something and explain it to their fans, or they could just have somebody completely different and just delve into that for a little bit. And when I was reading all the stories, I was so excited at how different they all are, and I love that for an anthology, that the idea was just, okay, zombies, go. Like, we really didn't put too much of, what did we say? No horribly graphic scenes that would be, no porn, and no scenes that are going to make people go, oh my God, I'm putting this down and I'm walking away. So, I mean, other than that, there really wasn't a lot of rules, right? Like, I don't remember much. It was such a whirlwind getting this book done, but it was awesome. I am so thrilled at the product that we put out. It is just, to me, it's amazing that you can get 20 people together and say, let's do this, and then it comes together as good as it did. So
Yeah.
I swear,
me
you've got that
too.
weird
So
mountain internet, so every once in a while you get all glitchy.
yeah, that is one challenge doing this. I'm actually impressed on a Sunday, it's pretty good. Monday, not so much. So I'm glad that we're as close as we are today. So next up, you put out a solo novel recently, The Many Afterlives of John Robert Thompson. And I read that one on vacation. I don't have a copy of it, but there it is. It's a beautiful cover. And you did that one, you won a contest or something with Preston Lay's group that got you some, it was a short story, and I guess kind of talk us through how that came about.
Well, I did this book for NaNoWriMo, and normally the stuff that comes out of that is pretty rushed and not polished, and amazingly it came out pretty good. I think because I'm not a planner, I'm a pantser, it works better for me to do those kinds of things, and I don't have to go back and do too much editing. So then I saw Preston had a contest for flash fiction, and I thought, you know what, I have one of the chapters would be perfect for this. So that's when I threw Reincarnation up, and when it won, it got me the cover by Molly Phipps, which is And there, I'm telling you, we're going in and out. It's
I'm
freaking me
still
out.
here. Yep.
Ben did sketches, and getting to see someone take your words and turn them into pictures is huge. I know, like children's books, authors get that all the time, but for us, we write words, and then the best we get is a cover, and it's like one snapshot of what you're trying to express. And as cool as that is, this is so different. He took 3 of the stories and he drew a picture for each one, and
Hmm.
I love it. I bought one of the prints and stuck it. Well, he gave me one of the prints, but my dad bought one of the prints. So we have 2 copies hanging around in my family. But I have it up with my display wall because it is just the coolest thing. I'm actually thinking about maybe getting him tattooed on me somewhere, because that
Oh,
was my first solo novel, and that's like, it's a big deal. The first time you write something by yourself and it's all yours and you hold it in your hands. Like, I love being part of anthologies and I love co-writing with my husband, but there's a huge difference when it's yours and you
yeah.
say, I did this. Like, every bit of this is mine. So if I do get that, I will definitely post it to show everybody that I went and decided to get a tattoo on me of this little character sitting on a couch while the world is burning around him. So, but that was a fun book to write. I think people have a hard time understanding it until they start reading it, and then you're about halfway. Now, you read it, so is that the case? Like, you're about halfway through and you're like, oh, I get it now.
Well, yes. I mean, I knew what it was all about as I went into it, so I didn't have quite as much of a challenge to understand it at the beginning. Now, my wife read it as well, and it did take her about halfway through. She started to catch on what was going on, and then she really got into just kind of each individual story, and enjoyed John's journey wherever it was going for him in that particular one. Uh, but yeah, then that's about the point that it starts to make sense and you get what's happening.
Yeah, I feel bad because I don't know how to explain it well. And you would think, as the one that created it and wrote it, if I try to tell people about it, they're like, wait, so he keeps dying, like he keeps being reincarnated? I'm like, no. So what happened? He dies. And then he goes somewhere, and then that story ends, and then he dies, and then he goes somewhere. It's all like, I just had the thought, like, what happens if a mediocre man dies? And then there's so many afterlife stories that exist out there over the ages. I mean, we have prehistoric man believed one thing, and the Greeks believed another, and we have, even just now, how many different versions of where you go when you die, everywhere from nothing to, heaven. So that's really just what it was. But I still, how do you put that in words for people to understand in like a quick little blurb? So, I mean, I tried, but it seems like to me, once people start reading it, they enjoy it. It just is really weird to explain. And I think I'm going to do a second book with that. I think I'm going to try a different approach where the person that dies is amazing. She's this like fantastic superhero-esque kind of woman who is off doing one of the chapters in John. He goes to a movie showing, and the woman that passed before him lived a life that everybody was just in awe when they saw her highlights reel. I want to do somebody like that, where, because I wrote myself into a box with John where he's so mediocre, how do you kill him? Because he doesn't do anything. So I'm constantly having crap drop on his head, or
Hmm.
like he just falls down because he doesn't get out there. He can't have amazing, fantastical deaths. And I think that if I do someone who's like, she drives race cars and jumps out of planes and does all these other things, I can explore that section that I didn't get to explore with John. So I think it'd be fun. I just have to find time. I mean, you know me, we talk all the time. Where am I going to put that in my realm of, yeah, I'm going to write that too?
Yeah, definitely gives you more opportunities on unique ways to die and tell that story.
Yeah.
So next up, you had a story included in the Good Morning Zompok charity anthology Treasured Chests, which we both have copies
Yes.
of this one. And so
Yes.
what is your story in here? I haven't read this one yet, so tell me a little bit about your story in Treasured Chests.
Okay, I'm slightly insulted. I mean, that should have been the first thing you did when you got the book. Flip to my page, read my story, and then move on with your life. Well, I
Okay,
wrote
you
for
talk, I'll read.
that. It was I wrote that because all the money's going to breast cancer charity. And I had a really good friend, Lisa, pass away from breast cancer. So when I saw that, I thought I absolutely have to write something to go into this because she was a huge part of why I decided to start writing for real, because she passed so young, and it was this idea of she was such a fantastic person, and everything she accomplished in the small amount of time that she was here and how many people she touched in the small amount of time she was here. Lisa was one of those people that you truly were a better person because you knew her. So I I started writing to deal with stress and things, but I continued writing because I want to be somebody that the people like Lisa and the people like my grandmother and the other people that are inspirations in my life would be proud to have known themselves. So when I saw that it was all for breast cancer, I said, I have to be, and I have to do something. And the character that's in it, she is one of the last people to realize that zombies have taken over. So she still is going to work when everybody else is not. So she ends up with a bunch of other people that don't seem to get it, and they're trapped in a frozen yogurt store when the power goes out and everything else is done, and they're just stuck there. And now you've got a bunch of people who are used to a retail environment, so there's like a chain of command, but they're kind of useless, like all of them, because they're the last people to have admitted this is even a problem. So you're not looking at the best of the best here. So they decide that she is going to have to go out and get them a vehicle so they can leave. And everything goes from there of like, and the ending with it is a bit interesting. It's a very much New Jersey ending, how she handles the situation. So if you read it, you'll understand what I mean by that. But yes, it's sort of how I would end stuff if I was sitting in the car looking at them. So, but you'll have to read it to find out. I was really honored to be a part of that one, and I'm so proud of that book. That cover, by the way, blew me away. I don't know about you, but I was like, oh my God, that is gorgeous. It is different, and it's striking. I
That's
love that one.
very unique and very gothic horror, and also kind of a vintage look to it.
Right. Yeah, I have that one up on display, and like every other day, because I have the two that you can see in my living room that are standing out at all times, and that one is constantly in circulation because I just love the look of it. It's so cool. That one in Undead Worlds. Oh, somebody's asking, what is Reanimated Writers?
Yeah, so I think that I know this video hopefully is posted in the event where it's supposed to be, but I think it also hit our personal feeds, so people that maybe don't know what we're doing here today uh, don't know what the heck's going on. So who and what is the Reanimated Writers? So the Reanimated Writers is a group that I formed, and then Valerie is a part of, and really an integral part of the group. And we have almost 200 writers that all write zombie-related fiction in one way, shape, or another. We've all come together, we work together, we share knowledge about marketing, about writing, and then most recently we also put out a group anthology together, which is Undead Worlds, which we talked about a few minutes ago. We have a group on Facebook. We're just slightly over 400 fans in there and growing. It's a great place for fans of zombie fiction to come and interact with the various authors. Right now, we also have a poll going that Valerie started. You want to talk about that for a quick second?
Yeah, what I'd like to do is every month I want to do an award from the Reanimated Writers, but the plan is to make it a little bit different because we see a lot of the who's your favorite Zombie author or who's the best author, what's the best series, and I don't want to copy what everybody else is doing because, I'd like to do something that's ours, especially because I'd like to do it every month. So we did our first one, and it's the toughest hero, which can go to either a girl or a guy character, and it's going on right now. The poll ends on the 25th, And one of the voters is going to get a copy, an ebook copy of Undead Worlds. And the author whose character wins gets a nice shiny badge that they can show off that'll say it. And you'll start seeing those around, because if we give them out every month, we're going to start handing them out, and you'll see people pop them on those social media feeds, which is going to be great. I
Yeah.
love it. I love having our little walking guy hanging around on people's stuff. We That's like, even now we've got t-shirts coming up, which is really cool, which will be really nice, because if you go to comic cons or any kind of signings, if you see one of the authors that's in our group, they may be wearing one of the shirts and you'll know that's where they came from. So we've got ones that are author specific that are going to say a couple of different things, and then we're going to have ones for fans. So I'm excited about that, and you'll be able to just get them right off of Amazon. So it's not even like you have to get a hold of one of us to buy one. You can just pop over to Amazon. We're going to have the links for that on our Facebook page too. So we got a lot going on in our group right now.
Really do. And a lot
That's
more
because I
coming.
steamroll you with every idea that I come up with. I'm like, we're going to do this now.
Great ideas. I mean, the fan group itself was one of your ideas. The anthology was one of your ideas. So really, I just sit back and take credit for all of your ideas as being the
There you
person who
go.
founded the group. I
It
mean,
works. We have some really great people in the group, though, that are really talented. Like with the t-shirts, we've got other people. Like, I come up with a weirdo idea and I do so much of it, and then it gets out into the world and somebody else takes care of the rest, and that makes me really happy, because, that's one less thing I have to worry about. Like, Chris Mahood made one of the t-shirt designs the one that's up right now already. I love that design. It's so rock and roll. I can't do stuff like that. I go online and I just type stuff into the little things, and it looks very, I don't know. They all have the same look. Like, I made it. It's neat and orderly and very, everything's in its place. And he comes in and he's like, here's this sketched awesome zombie fist. So I love it. I love that we have a group that's filled with a bunch of different people with all of their different skill sets. It's fantastic.
absolutely.
It was the same thing with the anthology, too. Having the different people in the group made it so much easier to do, because everybody brought something different to the table. So.
Yeah, it's very true. So moving on with your other publications. So next up, you actually put together your own charity anthology as well this year that just came out, and that one is Mad Like Me. So that book is an anthology that supports veterans with PTSD, and
Yes.
and I know the book. It's called Mad Like Me. All the stories in it have to do with people that are slightly crazy in one way, shape, or another. Your story, Fugue States, was a very deep dive into a woman who is being abused but has memory problems. And when I read that one, I've actually read it twice, because I read it once, I think, several months ago, and then I read it again once the book came out. And I loved how we follow along with her and we feel her confusion. I was constantly understanding her lack of understanding and the situation that she was in and the people around her, how they were reacting to her. So it was really well done. But tell me a little bit more about the anthology and your desire to do that anthology for the charity that you chose.
Well, for me, I think that we should treat our vets better. And that's been a huge thing that has ticked me off for years. And I'm not rich. I'm not able to walk out and I mean, I say if I win the Powerball, I'd probably be poor in a day, because I have so many things that I would want to do with money. And one of the things would be putting money towards our vets with PTSD, because they come home and you can't see how much everything's affected them, and you can't see how much they struggle. And anybody that works with them and is really putting their time and money to help, I feel like even in the smallest way, if we can make those sales and give some money, and especially after Hurricane Harvey happened, there's a PTSD group down there that I'm not going to name because we don't have the copyright release to be able to name that kind of stuff. But if you look Houston PTSD groups, you can find out about maybe where the money's going. they had their people that they work with, a lot of them were flooded out by the storm. And to have, you already are in a position where you're dealing with PTSD, and then you have another event like that happening in your life. And I went through Hurricane Sandy with my family, and while I'm not diagnosed with PTSD, I can tell you I have several symptoms from it. You know that just from talking to me. When we just went through those hurricanes, I lost my mind for a couple of weeks because everything brings you back. And for me, that was just a storm event. I couldn't imagine what that would be like if you were in a combat event and that's coming back to you over and over again. So for us to be able to write these stories and give money to a group like that, that makes me so happy. And I didn't want people to confuse the idea that we wrote Mad Like Me, that we thought people with PTSD are crazy. That's not what we were saying. We're writers. I like to write about things that are interesting. The human brain is very interesting. That's what, with the Fugue States, I wrote that, and then when I sent it off to my editor actually said to me that they knew someone who went through that had that going on in their brain, and that I captured it really well. And I was surprised because I do not know someone who went through that. I have my own memory issues, and I kind of overinflated them, and I added to it some of my own personal experiences and overinflated those too. Like that story is a snapshot of a time in my life, but it is with that writer's brush where we go through and we take something that's the size of a grain of sand and turn it into a boulder. So, but that was one of the reasons why it was easy for me to write that story. But I was really surprised when I heard that, yeah, that's kind of how that goes, because I was like, oh, well, I was just guessing on that. So as writers, we tend to do that. We're not like dead. We have an idea, but we've not experienced everything that we've written. So, but yeah, I mean, we've got a great group in that. You and I are in a ton of anthologies this year. That makes me laugh. I say that every time I get into something and then I see my name on it, I just scroll down just to see if you're on there too. There you go. I do like how you snuck in by not letting me know it was you when you submitted your story. That, to me, that was classy. Because I love your story in there. A doctor that can only give good news, that's fantastic.
Yeah, for me, I liked how you explained the fact that the anthology, while it is about people that have a certain type of madness, that's not the relationship to the charity is not that. But I liked how each of the stories just kind of have to deal with, everybody's got their own kind of personal brand of crazy. And yeah, in my story, the doctor is he's just got a happy outlook on life, or more of a denial outlook on life. So,
right.
I want to give a quick shout out. Thank you, Julian. He had a comment up there a couple of minutes ago, or probably quite a few minutes ago. Good morning, Michael. Thank you for joining us. And yes, Jay, Valerie is amazing. She's pretty awesome. Glad to have met and all of this writing stuff that we do together. So the next up, you've recently had a story in Sammy Sand's Nightmares anthology. That one I haven't read yet either, but I'm pretty booked up with all your recent releases. So what's your story in there? Oh, hang on. Let's do something with Tinder.
Well, in Nightmares, I actually wrote a vampire story, which for me made me crack up, because it's not a genre that I'm completely comfortable with, because there are a certain set of rules that people, I mean, I read vampire stories, I love vampire stories, don't get me wrong. It's one of those complex ones where there's a hierarchy and everything, and I don't want to mess it up, so I try to stay away from it. But for a short story, I thought I could do it, and the idea is it's all, nightmares. So for my character, she goes on a Tinder date and gets turned into a vampire, and did not want to be a vampire, had no intention of being a vampire, and is now stuck being a vampire. And the whole thing it's very snarky and complainy about how none of this is like what they were sold by Hollywood, not Twilight. That's not how that story works at all. No, she actually she's mad because none of the other vampires are good looking. It's all a bunch of dudes with dad bods, and it's not like the hot Hollywood guys with the love triangle, and she's in some dive bar in the middle of nowhere and she hates it. And it has literally my favorite last line I've ever written, and it probably will always be my favorite last line I've never written, but I can't tell you guys because if I do, it gives away the ending of the story. So, but that one is dead on. Like when I wrote the line, I went, oh, okay, this is cheesy. And then I reread it. I'm like, I don't care. I just love it. I love it so much. It's perfect. So, yeah, that one was fun. That was one of those anthologies where it was great because you submitted your story and then the book came out. Like, it was the easiest thing I think I've been involved with ever. So I told Sammy, I'm like, I will love to submit to everything anytime you have something, tell me, because that was like so simple of a process. Oh, what am I
She's
reading
got a dead.
lately? Oh God. Now see, that's a scary question, Julian. What am I reading? Because I'm supposed to be reading a lot of stuff and I'm like stalled out on a lot of stuff. I was reading something that Julian wrote and I stalled out, and he said very clearly I could stall out for a little bit. So, I mean, right now, I think I've got my plate cleared after the end of this month, and that I am going to finally sit down and start reading again, which I'd love to do, especially with the Reanimated group books. I love to be able to pick up and see, because we talk to these people every day, and I think their books are really a snapshot of who they are, but not the person that we're talking to every day. You know what I mean? Like it's that different part of them. It's the writer part of them. And I want to get back into doing that because I loved reading everybody's stuff. Now I make a promise, if I read it, I review it, because everybody should review books. We sit there like lunatics, refreshing, hoping that there's going to be another review. I don't know why. It's like a crazy need for validation, but that's like the Undead Worlds. I've been so happy seeing which stories some people picked out and said that they love and how varied it is. It's not just everybody loves the same story. So that, to me, that's a win, that different
Yeah.
people are getting called all the time. That means, they're touching different readers each time. I love that. So I see
Yeah.
Sylvester's and is here now. Hi, Sylvester.
Hey, Sylvester, speaking of, he's also in the anthology. His story, his
Yep.
story was dark and twisted. I read that one recently, and it was good. It didn't go where I was expecting it to go in the end, so I like that in a story. So speaking of the end, your most recent new release, I believe, is called The End, and that was part of Mason Mullen's 30-day collective. And tell us a little bit more about that one.
Yeah, that one's only available on ebook right now. That one is not out in print yet. It's going to be in print. That one was interesting because that's a contest where we entered stories and then they were judged and one person won, and my story won that one, which was fantastic. I was like over the moon because, as a writer, you need to know you're doing well. You crave that. But for me, that story was fun too. I've realized the more that I write, the more I realize, especially my female characters tend to be really snarky. They tend to be like sarcastic and just fed up with people's nonsense. And I don't know if that's who I am underneath all of this giggle. Is just a person who's walking around done with everybody's nonsense. But that seems to be the way that I write. The girl in that story is at the end of the world, and the Earth is going to be destroyed by a meteor. So the government didn't want to tell anybody. And then when it got leaked, as things do, their plan was, okay, we'll give you all suicide pills. So you can decide when it's over, which gives you a little bit of control back, makes you happy. So she's in line waiting for her suicide pill. And she's putting up with this perv in front of her who has decided he's just going to screw his way through the last 30 days. And this soccer mom behind him that won't get off her phone, but is like on speakerphone. So everybody has to hear her. And she's just done with all of it. And the ending to it is a giant twist, because you really think most of the story is just about this average normal person putting up with this nonsense in a line, which was the idea of how would people react to the end. They would overinflate their personalities. But
Mm.
with her, you find out at the end nothing is what it seems. And I would love to write the rest of that as a novel. So, like I said, that goes in my pile of, oh yeah, I should totally write that. That's going to happen. But that one should be out in print soon, but it's out in ebook right now. And there's a bunch of other stories in there, and there's one by my buddy Jack, which you would love. It is a bunker story. So the guy and his dog in a bunker, and it's a really great story. I got the pleasure of reading it before it was submitted because it was actually going to go in a different anthology, one that I was doing, and I said, no, 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 enter this. This is awesome, and I want to see you get it into a different publication. So that's which way that went. And hi, Tim.
So we've talked about all of your recent releases, which there were quite a few. We've talked about your current work in process, Aftershock 2. So what else might you have coming up that we haven't talked about as far as books, stories?
Oh God, I don't know. David Simpson is doing an anthology, and I've got a story going in that, as do you, as do a bunch of the people that we know, and that one will definitely be posted over at the Reanimated page once it gets released because it's got so many of our authors in it. I know I have more. I swear I've gotten to the point now, especially because everything came out at the same time, I don't know what I have until I get a thing that says it's being released. And then I'm like, oh my God, I forgot I wrote something for that, or I forgot I did that. And I'm just trying to think. I don't know. We've got so much going on with the Reanimated page. I don't think I have too much more other than Aftershock 2 really like on my plate. Like I need to get that done. So yeah, I think that's it. Was there anything else that we wanted to talk about from the Reanimated page? Because we hit the t-shirts, which are cool. We hit the poll, which I want everybody to vote on. So we want to see those numbers go up as high as possible. What else?
Yeah, definitely go find the poll and vote for whoever your favorite, toughest hero in zombie fiction is. The other thing we wanted to talk about was that group is growing, and we're excited. We just hit our 400th member. We're on our way to 500, and we've got a plan to award a pretty massive prize pack. In fact, authors from the main group keep offering up additional prizes, so we're going to kind of keep letting that prize pool build. And as soon as we get to 500, we're going to give a whole bunch of prizes away. What are some of those prizes, and how are we choosing the winner?
Well, we had set a deadline for Sunday night for 500, and at this point, even if we were close, which we're not super close, so it doesn't matter, but I want to extend it anyway because the authors have been so generous. And we have so far, if it's a U.S. winner, we'll ship out a paperback copy along with a pile of ebooks. So it would be a paperback copy of Undead Worlds to a U.S. winner and a bunch of ebooks and a $5 gift card to Amazon. If the winner is international, we will make the ebook pile bigger because it always stinks to be an international winner. You seem like you get the shaft because you can't get the paperback copies or anything because shipping is so obnoxious. Like so obnoxious. So many authors make the mistake of promising to send something physical and don't say USA only, then get to the post office and the sticker shock, they never make that mistake again. Because something as simple as a wristband can cost a ton of money. So we don't want our international people to feel like they're not getting something too. So that would be a big pile of ebooks. We're well over 10 now. So it's going to be a nice, I mean, people will be able to read for a very long time. And that's going to be a random person, just one random person who is a member of the group. I don't know. So share, maybe your friends will win it. Share the books with you because there's going to be enough to go around.
Yeah, keep somebody reading for a while.
Absolutely. Well, if you're into zombies, you're going to be neck deep in them if you win.
Right on. Okay, so I think that's about everything. Um, as I said at the beginning, or I hope I said, I don't honestly remember anymore. This is the first of possibly more Undead head-to-head author interviews. I've had a lot of fun getting to talk to Valerie in person and to learn more about all of her different stories. So, authors, those of you that are out there watching, if you would like to do one of these, ping Valerie or I, and we'll discuss putting something together for sometime down the road. And so, Valerie, where online can people find you after this? We'll be posting links, but just go ahead and give a quick rundown of where you're active.
Well, the easiest place is the Reanimated Writers Zombie Fiction fan page. If you go there, I'm there because I'm on top of that all the time. I also want to say if you're a zombie fiction author, if you join that group and then contact one of us, we want to pop you right in with the rest of us into the author group because we try to keep us all together, all helping each other. So we would love fans to be involved with the kind of stuff like that, but it's so boring if you're not an author. So that's like the special spot to talk about networking and other nonsense that nobody wants to hear about, the boring stuff. So you can find me at the Reanimated page. I have a Facebook page, author Valerie Lioudis on Facebook. I have a Twitter and I have an Instagram, which you convinced me to get, and I'm still kind of halfway iffy with. I post stuff and then I forget that I have it for 2 weeks. So that is the least active of my social media. But yeah, definitely on Facebook or on Twitter. And I do have a newsletter. If anybody wants to know anything, they can just shoot me a message on Facebook and I can sign them up for the newsletter. I give my own updates and then I'll also give updates of the Reanimated if anything's going on. So, I don't know. It's really easy to find me on Facebook. That's really the best place. So,
Okay.
yeah, I would love it if you say that you wanted to get in contact from the Undead Head to Head. We would love to hear that so that we know that people watched and enjoyed it because I really do want to do more of these. I know the authors are going to be biting at the bit to get on, so you're going to get to see a lot of their lovely faces. So,
Oh, and actually, two really quick last things. I know you've got a blog tour coming up that's going to be taking place on the Reanimated Writers fan page, I believe, starting soon.
yes, that's the zombie crawl. So we're going to do zombie related posts every day until Halloween. I think we start on the 24th or the 25th. I'm not dead positive. And I've been posting on our Reanimated page the Halloween Fright Bites, which we've been doing. There's a group of us that are doing 13 microfiction stories. So they're real quick, but they're creepy and they're shareable. So if you're looking for something to put out to show your friends some creepy Halloween author stuff, that's always good. It's also a good place to get to see somebody's writing style and see if maybe you'll like a new author. So.
Gotcha. Okay, and then we also have, starting on the 27th through the 31st, I believe it is, a special 99-cent sale called Zombie Treat. We've got a number of authors that have signed up for that are going to put their books on special price of 99 cents each. And we'll have some posts about that with links to all the books so you can go out and snag some bargain books and read some zombie fiction for Halloween. So that's it.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Valerie. I've really enjoyed this, and we will see everybody again soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.